Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome back to Still a Part of Us. We are so grateful. I'm so grateful to have my friend Heather here. And it's a pretty rare occasion. We just had her tell her story of Rosemary. And it was really a beautiful story. I'm so glad that I finally got the full story. We've talked about her before, but it's when you get into the nitty-gritty stuff that is like, I feel like I really got to know Rosemary. So thank you again for coming on and talking about her.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Heather, as a reference, can you tell us what happened to Rosemary? How long ago was it that she was born?
So, Rosemary was born on May 5th in 2020. So, at the time of this recording, this is May 2nd. So, we're coming up on 5 years in a few days. And she was stillborn at 37 weeks and had, after the autopsy came back, we found out that she had developed a blood clot in her umbilical cord that cut off her blood supply.
And it was just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. They called it an acute cord accident because it just happened really fast and there was nothing that could have been done to prevent it or catch it early.
Yeah, which is so frustrating. And so I would love for you guys to listen to Heather's story of Rosemary. And you will have those linked together so you guys can listen to it because it's so good and heartbreaking too because there's just so many things. It was during COVID. I just want to point that out. And that sucked for a lot of people. And so to have her tell about that was really good to kind of get a snapshot of what it was like during that time because it was really messed up. It was really it was nuts. It was nuts at that time. So
yeah.
So Heather, it's been 5 years and I am wondering, can you tell us a little bit about how your grief journey has looked? I wanted you to kind of just maybe if you can tell us a little bit what it looks like kind of early on, like the first few months. And then how it's kind of changed and evolved. Because I met you and you had, I think you had only had, it had been 6 months.
At most. Yeah.
When I met you.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID. And so at that time, I didn't really get to know anybody for a long time very well until one day I think we had a play date because our kids were about that age where we were like, oh yeah, we could put them together for a play date. But that was a bit later. So,
yep.
So tell me what that looks like for you as time went on.
Yeah. So for me, I hadn't really been through grief very much before.
No,
you know? I had grandparents, like great grandparents that had passed away, like when I was really little. So I wasn't acquainted with what that looked like or what the stages of grief were or anything. So I just didn't really know what to expect, you know?
Yeah.
But I know that I went through all of the stages multiple times. Particularly at first, a lot of anger toward God. I felt like he took baby away and it's just very unfair.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that and definitely like situational depression, you know, every time another holiday would come up, every time anything would come up, especially within that first year, it just took me right back and knocked me down so hard. It was really, really rough.
Because you expect to be, well, this is what I would do. And that's what we did some of the times. It was like, oh, 4th of July, I'm going to put my kid in their 4th of
Yes.
July jumper thing, and it is Halloween, and you like our family is all about Halloween, and to not have that little baby to like be part of our family costume is real sad, like real sad.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like, yeah, Halloween was the first really big holiday
Yeah.
after, like, there was 4th of July, but, we don't do a ton for that holiday.
yeah.
It's just, breakfast, big breakfast, whatever else. But Halloween was the first big one. And it was kind of funny because we dressed up as the Rapunzel family.
Oh yeah.
So and my husband, Andrew, and I were the king and queen of Corona,
Yeah.
which is what
Oh
the
my
kingdom
gosh,
was.
yes.
So coronavirus, it was
That is
perfect.
so funny.
And then Hannah was Rapunzel, but Rosemary would have been Pascal.
Oh.
Like it just, yeah, it was tragic to not have her a part of that picture.
Yeah.
But the first real holiday after she passed away, because she passed away May 5th,
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day was the following Sunday.
Oh.
So
I did not realize that.
yes,
Oh.
it was really, really hard, especially since my milk had come in the day before Mother's Day. And it was just like, sucker punch to the gut that like insult to injury. What do I do now? I've got this milk and not a baby to provide for. So that brought a whole new level of grief. Like I can't even describe, but,
Yeah. It is. It feels
Yeah.
so unfair.
so unfair.
I say that so many times, but it really is like when your milk is coming in, you're like, I should be feeding a baby, and I cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the hardest parts of the whole process. Just not having that baby to feed. But I wanted to share an experience that I had that it encompassed several different stages of grief in a few hours.
Oh.
So this was a couple weeks after she'd passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I was just angry. I was grumpy. I was throwing stuff around. It's just Andrew and I at home, and I was just really in it,
You're like,
And it's just like, I'm just so mad. Yes.
and
so,
Hannah is with her dad, right?
Hannah was
so
with her dad
it's just
during
you and
that
Andrew.
time.
Okay.
Yep. And so at one point, I started crying, and I grabbed a big blanket, wrapped it around myself, and said, I'm going to the cemetery. I'll see you later. And I went out the door and kind of slammed it. And I drove over to the cemetery. Oh, and I said, I'm not coming home. I'm going there and I'm not coming home. And he was quiet. I slammed the door and left. So I got to the cemetery, and we obviously hadn't had a headstone for her yet. It was too soon. And so I sat next to her grave and just started sobbing even more, and just started bargaining. I went to the stage of bargaining with God. I'm like, I would do anything to have her back right now. Anything. Like, tell me what I can do. And just expressing to her how much I missed her and just how it wasn't fair and all of that. And eventually I laid down on her grave and just like, I'd just given up. I was in such a deep hole of depression. I was like, I can't even see the way out right now. Yeah. I can't do anything. Yeah. And I was just so sad. But about 15 minutes later, Andrew shows up. It had started to get dark by this point. And he shows up and just comes and holds me. And I just said, I'm not coming home. And he said, I know, but I brought a tent for you and a pillow just so you can be comfortable. And I just took a deep breath. I was just like, okay. Like I just knew that he was supporting me. And that was really special to have that moment. Yeah. And so he just held me for a little while longer while we both kind of cried a little bit. And then I had a fellow mom show up. She came and saw me over there. Her baby was buried in the row behind me. And she just said, a bunch of us heard what happened to you, and we're just so sorry. And just know that you can reach out if you ever need anything. And I just kind of nodded my head. I just didn't have any words, but her reaching out really was very pivotal for me to get through some more grief, because I did end up reaching out to her a little bit later, and she helped organize just a gathering with like 5 other moms in the group, and we just gathered there, and we were all able to share our stories about our baby, and just gave me space to talk about her, you know. And just that was healing. The most healing thing for me through everything was just being able to talk about her, being able to share my experience, and just every time I have, it's brought a little bit more healing.
Yeah.
But I've definitely gone through many gone through all the stages of grief many, many times.
Yeah.
Like, it's been 5 years, and just last October, I finally went through, like, I feel like what's the final stage of acceptance,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, they say that.
Right.
Whatever.
It felt more pivotal, like, "Oh, you mean I can be happy? It's okay?"
Yeah.
Like, she's not expecting me to just dwell on everything still,
Yeah.
and, 'cause you just think about them in that kind of way, like,
Yeah.
they're wanting me to be happy, but I can't be happy because 'cause they're not here."
Yeah. Well, and okay, so I think this is the thing that is a little messed up too, because right, you only know your baby. I mean, obviously you just remember like, oh, like I'm pregnant, I'm super happy and it's great. And then but then there's kind of the sad ending, right? And the sad ending takes over so much of kind of the happier things that you remember about them. And
Right.
so sometimes it just overwhelms any memories. And so everything that you think about your baby, there is some sadness associated with it. And so it's really hard to get to that point, I think. I don't know. It just is really easy to be mad a lot. Like
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. I was mad a lot, and the whole first year, just the grief, it looked different all the time,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but I just remember a lot of that first year being very blurry. Like, I don't remember a lot of details. I just remember being sad a lot, remember being angry a lot, and just wishing that she was here.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a
no.
pretty common feeling and experience where it's just a blur. You're like, I don't know what's happening to me.
Mhm.
And yeah, our poor husband. I like and Lee went through it too. My husband, he went through it too. Just I'm like, are you doing okay? And we would just ping pong back and forth on what was who was down at a certain
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So Heather, you did mention that in October of this last year,
Mhm.
it sounds like you were like you got to a point of acceptance, and I'm not. So what changed at that time? Was there anything?
Yeah, so, my friend had posed a challenge. She had a stillborn the same year that I did, the same month that I had, and she is with an organization called Share Parents of Utah, and she had posed this challenge that every day in October you share, like, something different. Like, there was an outline calendar of different things,
Mm-hmm.
and so just share something different about your journey. Oh, what was the color that reminded you most of her? Or what, just different things like that, and me and allowing myself to share different things openly
Yeah.
like that every day for a month was more therapeutic than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
So by the time November hit, I was like, "Okay, this experience happened to me, and I'm okay."
Yeah.
And, she's always gonna be my baby, and nothing's gonna change that, so I'm gonna accept that this is what happened and that everything is gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So, it was good.
Yeah. There's something nice about talking about your baby a lot.
Yes.
And Share is awesome. So if you don't know much about Share in our area, they have a pretty good chapter where it's parents helping other parents who have lost a baby. And that is really nice. They come to the hospital, they help with molds, they help with pictures sometimes, and support groups and everything. And so that is a blessing because we have been on the receiving end of Share help as well. So
Yeah.
and they're awesome. They're just so awesome. And if you need help, go check them out because they're all over. I think they have chapters all over the country. In the United States, I think there's some places
Oh.
a little bit more rural, but a lot of them will have some sort of Zoom support groups also. So if you
That's
need
true.
access, they have access to those kind of things. So just really quickly, I wanted to ask you, Andrew, and so you and Andrew had been married like about a year-ish when you had Rosemary.
Yes.
So how did you guys grieve? Were you in sync with each other? Did you grieve very differently? How did that look? Was there any strain because of, I mean, this is a devastating event. And so it really can mess up a marriage, a relationship.
Yeah, it's true. It really can. My mother-in-law was actually really worried that her loss would drive us apart. She was really worried about that.
Okay.
But it actually brought us closer together. We do grieve very differently though.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of different ways that we handle just the sadness and the anger and everything that comes in. His most frequent reaction to grief is running away, hiding somewhere, playing a video game, ignoring what's there.
Okay.
He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to get into anything. He wants to just forget about what's going on. And he doesn't want, he wants to keep her private, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
Which is totally valid. Like that is a valid way to keep somebody close to your heart and while others share. Like that's kind of a very common pattern I've noticed.
Yeah. And I've noticed the same thing. Just women want to share.
Yes.
Moms want to share. And I definitely, that's how I heal is by sharing.
Yeah.
And I want other people to share with me too.
Yeah.
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 I want to hear what's happening, not so that I can be like, "Oh, well, here's my story too." It's just so I can give them that space.
Yeah.
And be like, "I just want you to be able to express your story too." And so I can it's cathartic,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there've been a couple of times where we've been on the same page with grieving.
Yeah.
And he finally would open up enough to be like, "Yeah, I do want to talk about her." Everybody thinks this was only hard on you. They don't think about the dads.
No. They
And
never do.
I know.
And the
I
dads
know.
are like, yeah.
Yeah. And so
They get ignored.
he's expressed that a few times. And so I've had to pull out of myself to give him a lot of validation. Look, you are important too.
Yeah.
And
I'm
sorry.
You were
for
Rosemary's
you.
dad.
Yes. Yes. And so I think that's been the hardest thing for him is just feeling put on the back burner, and a lot of attention has been put on me because that is just what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been some good moments where we've come together and we've been able to talk about her and just grieve and really go through it together. But definitely as time has gone on, it's been much fewer and farther between.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way
that's the way it goes.
things go
It's
as
time.
Time and some healing and some understanding even more of who you are
Yeah.
and who they are. Like it
Right.
makes a huge difference.
And I remember just early on, we would go visit her grave like twice a week. We'd
Mhm.
walk over there all the time.
Yeah, because it's not the cemetery.
Half a mile.
Because our kids are buried in the same cemetery.
Yep.
We're not in Babyland, but we are in the same cemetery. So yeah, it's not very far away. It's actually a nice little walk.
Yeah.
Over to the cemetery.
Yeah.
So twice a week, but
yeah, we did that for 6 months.
yeah.
I mean, closer to 6 months, it got down to once a week. But then I got pregnant again.
Yeah.
And was really sick again. And so it just couldn't do it very
bit
often
harder.
anymore. Yeah, it was harder. But, we'd still do things to remember her.
Mhm.
And I always would give him a memento of some kind for Father's Day just to show him, look, you're still her dad.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Just all of the feels. But yeah, grief. It's not for the weak.
No. No, it's not. It's like it'll run you through the ringer and you're just
Over and over again.
and exactly. I just was talking to a mom and she said you think that you're like going to go through one cycle and you're done. But no, it's like it's a spiraling up or spiraling down, and I was like, that is totally the way it is. It just feels like, "Oh, I'm done." No, you're not done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going back 3 spaces.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Okay, so and then I know that I have actually interacted with Hannah a bit because she's just in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
How has her grief been, and how have you guys tried to incorporate how did you help her through this? How is she done with this loss?
That's a good question because her loss is different than my loss,
Yeah.
right? Like I lost a baby, but she lost a
A
sister.
sister. She was so excited for.
So excited.
So
She's
excited for her.
only child for 9 years and
Yeah.
was really excited. So it took a while for me to kind of understand her grief and that she was hurting really bad too. She ended up having several meltdowns at school about it. Just thinking about her and just remembering because I'd put her hand on my belly to feel her kick all the time. And, after she was born and different things, I'd show her pictures of, yeah, this is what she looked like and everything else. And so just trying to understand where she was coming from, kind of taking myself out of mom mode for a little bit, I think was helpful for her and just to give her the space to cry and talk about it too. But, like after Rosemary had passed away, it was almost summer, but school was still remote. And so in the fall, so in the fall they were opening things up again,
yes.
but still had masks in place
Right.
and all of that kind of
Which
stuff.
is rough for kids.
Oh my gosh, so hard for kids.
Yeah.
But I remember like taking her to school and making sure that her teacher knew what happened. Like right before the school year started, I'm like, just so you know, this is how our family situation was. And I'd worked at the school, and so I knew a lot of the teachers, and they knew that I was pregnant and all of this kind of stuff. But I didn't think that I needed to talk to all of the teachers that she would see. So the art teacher talked to her like the second day of school and just, hey, Hannah, how's your baby sister? How are things going? And it just, it triggered her so bad. I had to just bring her home and just kind of let her talk it through and different things. It was rough. So she's had a rough time with it. I've looked at a few books with her to help her kind of understand other than my words. But yeah, she had a really hard time grasping that she was really gone at first.
Oh.
Because, we believe in the plan of salvation and different things and resurrection. And so when I told her, well, we'll be able to be with her again. She'll be resurrected and we'll, she'll be your sister. You'll be able to play with her and everything. She's like, well, when is that going to happen?
Yeah.
I said,
we
just don't know.
Yeah, time is a really tricky thing for little kids. I mean, and they just sometimes don't have a sense of like when is anything happening. So,
right.
Yeah.
But for months she would just say, oh, we should go pick out a cute outfit for Rosemary so she can wear it when she comes back. And I'm just like, it's not going to be in this lifetime. Like it was really hard for her to understand that.
Yeah.
It was months of me talking to her about that. But yeah, it would trigger her anytime we'd go into like a clothing store and she'd pass baby clothes. Oh, Rosemary would look so cute in that. And just different things like that she would think of as a big sister,
Which is so natural and so sweet and
right. And like when a couple years ago when Rosemary would have been 3 and going to preschool, Hannah had a meltdown about, oh, I'd be walking with her to preschool now, or, just different things like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's really different for her.
Yeah.
Than me. And just, making sure that I'm giving her the space to express what she needs to about it too, instead of just saying, well, it's okay. You don't have to be sad.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Cause that doesn't help.
That doesn't help either. And it doesn't help her. It wouldn't help her remember her either.
Right.
Right. Once again, life, it's just, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's really tricky. But I do appreciate, that's one thing I do remember, especially when we first moved in, was that you did talk about Rosemary a lot, and Hannah talked about Rosemary a lot. And I think that there's something nice about that, because we try and talk about Brandon a lot, and Lucy she always references Brandon in all the things that she does. So
I love that.
Yeah. So Heather, I have a quick question. I know that just because I know you, do you have a how do you look out for Rosemary? Does that make sense? Like,
Yes.
like where do you see her? Because I look out for, there's a few things, like just things that little, I don't know, flickers of light. And then also red pandas are my thing whenever I see red pandas.
Yeah.
That's how we symbolize Brannon. I know you're not seeing red pandas all the time. We go to the zoo to see red pandas.
Yes.
However, so I know that you have a symbol for Rosemary. Do you want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, butterflies.
Oh, yes.
It's on my shirt.
Yep.
So, yeah, anytime I see butterflies, her room before she passed away, like everything was decorated with butterflies. And, I had failed to say this earlier, but during the grieving process, my husband and I just could not go into her room for the longest time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just tucked away in the corner, and that's how it stayed for a few months. It was probably 4 months in that we said, okay, we need to go in there and start packing things away. And so, we had butterfly curtains and pink 3D butterflies that were sticking off from the wall, and just put them in a basket, and now they're hanging in my living room ceiling. And so every time I go in there, I just like, she's there, I just think of her. But just putting away her room was therapeutic for both of us, and we needed to do that.
Was it therapeutic? Okay.
Yeah, it was really hard.
I was gonna say
really hard, but it was good too.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think the combination would be, you can have both things in one thing. You can be sad and be helpful too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've Heather has a lot of butterflies around. I just know, like, that's
Everywhere.
Exactly. And I think I remember her first birthday. Somebody had butterflied your yard.
Yes.
Like there was like,
So
I don't even know what they were. They were just like these butterflies on little sticks or something. And
I
they
still
were,
have them.
And
they
they
were everywhere.
Just everywhere. And it was the sweetest thing. I don't know who did it. Do you know who did it?
I think it might have been Talisha.
Oh, that is so kind. Yeah, she's another neighbor of ours.
Neighbor.
She's great.
Yeah.
So little things like that make a huge difference when you acknowledge birthdays and anniversaries that are coming up. They can, that's a nice thing to do.
Yeah. Yep. And just one other thing that I wanted to share about her. I had a spiritual experience with her a couple weeks after she passed away, I think. It was just when I was in a really bad depression, part of my grief journey, where I just could not see how I could keep existing without her. I was just like, there's no point to life right now. And she came to me. It was kind of in a dream, but not really. Like, I knew it was her for real. And she gave me a hug, and she just said, "Mommy, I needed to go this way." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I was supposed to die of SIDS when I was 3 months old." And she said, if I would have gone that way, you would not be here.
Yeah.
And you need to be here. So I had to go this way to make it less painful for you.
Oh,
I was like, oh my gosh. And so just hearing that and knowing that, I reflect on that a lot, because it helps me to keep going, basically. Because I think about if it would have happened that way, there's no way. Like, after getting to know a baby and having them go that way, I can't imagine. Like, what I went through was horrible and hard.
Yeah,
but that would have been excruciating.
That is.
So kind of a tender mercy, I guess.
Yeah.
To think about it that way.
Yeah, that is. I didn't know that. That is really, it's beautiful. Yeah. A little, yeah.
I know. Almost no words for it, right?
Yeah. I was just like, that is very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I like looking for our kids in different things. It's nice.
Different things. Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things I like to ask. Are there any things that people did or said that really stood out to you, that really helps you along your grief journey?
Yeah,
or just even like coping.
Or just coping, yes.
Let's be honest. Like, sometimes it's just like, how did you get from day to day? And then also, if there's anything that you did or other people did for you to help you with this. with this heavy, heavy loss.
Yeah, for sure. The most important thing that people would say was it's okay to grieve on your own timeline, and you can just
Yeah.
feel the way you need to feel. And that was a breath of fresh air, just to be able to feel like, okay, I don't have to rush it, and it's okay to feel angry a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a few people that were really instrumental in helping me to feel cared about through the
Oh,
process.
you can shout him out. If you want to shout him out, you're welcome to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll ever watch it, but Brigham was a very instrumental friend in just showing up, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a few days after I gave birth to her, my mom kind of spread the word what happened
Yeah.
and everything. And he was a friend that I had grown up with, and so he heard from his mom what had happened, and he reached out to me via Facebook and just said, I'm so
Oh,
sorry for your loss. Like, is there anything I can do to help? And when you're in that space, you just no, I don't know. Like,
no clue. You have no clue.
just pray for me, I guess. Like, that's all I can say. And about an hour later, he showed up on my doorstep with a fresh loaf of hot bread that he'd made himself
Oh my gosh.
for me.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I opened the door to him holding that out with tears in his eyes, and he just said, I just made this for you, and I just care so much. And I'm like, the waterworks are coming, of course. He's like,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what you've been through. We just had a baby a few weeks ago, and I just can't,
Imagine. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And so he gave me a big hug, and he just said, I'm just 30 minutes away. Like, if you need something, I'm here. Okay, thank you. It meant so much to just have him come and do something.
Yes, I want to point this out. This is a very, people always ask, what can you do? You don't and Heather mentioned, she's like, I did not know what I needed. Like,
Yeah.
just pray for me. I mean, she's like, I don't know. You don't know. Okay, people. So one of the things that you can tell somebody, just help, whatever that looks like. And that showed up in a freshly baked bread.
Yes.
And that, because he could have shown up with some flowers. He could have shown up with a meal. He could have shown up with a card, but he showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
There was some thought put into it.
Yes.
That's huge.
It was huge.
That's huge, everybody. I don't even know how to tell you. It's huge.
Right.
When you just show up.
Yeah. Anybody that showed up to do something, whether it was food or, somebody would come in and wash my dishes or sweep and vacuum for me, just something that I couldn't even fathom doing because I was so deep in it,
Yeah. Well, okay, this is another funny
Yes.
thing. I don't know what you thought about this, but stupid stuff like washing dishes felt so petty compared to I lost my child.
Right.
So you don't ever want to do those things, everybody. So if somebody, sometimes you need somebody to come in and wash your dishes because you just think that's not worth it. You're like, whatever.
My baby's dead.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. Everybody thinks that, oh, yeah, dark humor. We have dark humor
sorry.
sometimes, everybody. This is what happens when you get moms together that have lost a baby. You start laughing about random stuff like this. So, yeah, my baby's dead. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. I did not, I'm so glad that you had somebody that just showed up and was a good friend.
Well, and a couple people in the ward came together too, before Rosemary's funeral, and they did a couple things that were really instrumental too. Christy had some bracelets designed for us.
Oh.
One said Rosemary's mom, one was Rosemary's sister, and one was for Rosemary. And we all got pictures of those at her graveside. That was so special.
That is so sweet.
And Daisy had drawn a picture of Jesus holding Rosemary that I was able to display at the funeral, and it's hanging up in my home now. Just those trinkets and mementos and things that people just willingly did are so meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Amazing. They're our neighbors. So
Yep.
and we love them too.
Yes.
And they are a really awesome family. Yeah, that is so once again, like that, I just want to point out that that is a way if you're like, if your heart feels like you should do something for that person, go do it. Like, 'cause that, like,
Just do it.
just like bracelets like that. And that was something that I know they love making bracelets. That's the other thing. I was like, I know. And so that was a way they showed their love because in a way that they knew how to show love
Mm-hmm.
and like how cute it was. That was kind of matching
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you all.
Yep. It was really special.
That's great. Any other and I before I forget, in regards to other people and stuff, were there things that you did to help your healing? Like that you and Andrew or you yourself did? Did you go to support groups? Did you go to therapy or anything like that?
Yeah, we ended up going to couples therapy for grief. And I think that that really helped. We did a little bit of one-on-one with her,
Mm-hmm.
just to, talk about how we grieve differently, but she really helped us see that it's okay to grieve differently and that we don't have to be on the same page at all times.
Yeah.
Like that was really helpful for me to be like, "Oh, you mean I don't have to be grumpy if he doesn't see exactly where I'm coming from in this moment?" So, yeah, that kind of therapy was really helpful, and then I also went to the sharing place,
Oh,
and
tell
that
me more
was
about that.
yeah, so the sharing place is a grief support group that is more geared towards children
Mm.
who have either lost siblings or parents.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes.
And, yeah, so I went there initially for Hannah just to
Right.
get her some help, but the wait list was, like, eons long. It took us 9 months to get in there or something.
Oh.
Um, and when we got in there, we were there for 3 years. So it was really, really helpful because they gave, like, different activities and different like, they
Oh.
go into a room that's called the volcano room
Yeah.
that has, like, padded walls that you just go run into the wall and just
Just
get your anger out into
physically. Yeah. In
yes,
a
in a
physical way.
physical way, yeah. And just, like, different art projects that are meaningful in that way, and, like, it was
That's
it was
cool.
really helpful for Hannah too, to also process herself, "Oh, my sister died and she's not coming back."
Yeah.
But with the kids doing their own group, the parents also had a group at the same
Oh,
time.
great.
Yeah. It was not what I was expecting. The hard thing was is that when we started we were still social distancing,
Oh,
and they had closed down in-person visits at the time, so it was all over Zoom.
okay.
So it was very impersonal,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
This is hard.
There's
This
no
is
point in this, like, I'm not feeling connection to anything or,
yeah.
so it's kind of annoying, but after about 2 sessions, they're like, "Hey, guess what? We've opened up in-person meetings. We just have to distance more and mask up."
Okay. Okay.
And so we did that for a few months and then were able to unmask, and just everything was really great because we all got to go around saying who our person was,
Yeah.
how they died, and how we're doing, like, this week or for the last 2 weeks, these were my wins and these were my losses, or, like, however
Oh,
things were going just during that specific time period. It was
yeah.
really, really helpful just to have anybody to talk to about
Mhm.
stuff
Mhm.
instead of just Andrew, who most of the time didn't wanna talk.
Well, yeah, and it's a little tricky because you don't want to overstay your welcome. I don't know,
Yes.
but like, because yeah, your spouse is your spouse, and sometimes it's like they need to have their own space too. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that is great. And
Yeah.
I did not realize that they had a parent situation. So that's cool that they were able to do that. One thing I really like though that they did was talking about wins. Because some days when you're grieving, you just feel like everything is wrong. You're not doing everything that you need to be doing, and you kind of beat yourself up. It can be a bad spiral.
Right.
And so for them to say, "Hey, let's just think I got out of bed." I'm sure that there are people that said that some days. And
Yes.
um and sometimes you need to do that as a grieving person. It's like, what are your wins for
Right.
that day?
Yeah. Like I said, it was really helpful because it got you to think about different things than the heavy grief that you're
Yeah.
just sitting in.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's rad.
Yeah, and it was good too because in the beginning, I felt a little bit awkward because I hadn't met Rosemary. You
Mm.
know, she passed away before I got to meet her. And so it was like I was in this parent group with these other parents who had lost spouses of
Oh.
many years or had lost a child that was 10 or
Oh.
something. And so it was just a very different kind of grief.
Yeah.
But I never felt judged for what I went through too.
Okay.
And even
Yeah.
though I had expressed that, I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm on the same page as you guys, but I still want to be here. And they're like, no, like your loss is real.
Yeah,
And so it was very validating to see that loss is loss.
Loss is loss. Yeah.
It's hard.
And so accepting of them to be like, yeah, your loss is real. And because that's another thing that comes up when people say, like, people don't think that, oh, you never got to meet the baby. So
So how can you be as sad as you are?
Yeah.
I know.
so it happens. Well, that's great. I'm so glad that there were some things along the way that kind of were really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, on the flip side, one
Yep.
of my favorite questions to ask.
Yep.
Because I have like to ask these questions. It's just very silly of me.
Mhm.
What are some things that you would recommend not saying
Oh
to
my goodness.
a lost mom, somebody that has an angel baby? What is something you would recommend they stay away from? And maybe an alternative to like what you would maybe say instead.
Yeah. The worst one that was said to me was, "Oh, at least you know you'll see her again, because families are forever." I'm like, well, that doesn't help me right now.
Yes. And that is, I will tell you this right now, that is one of the principles that we believe in, that our families will be together. And that is very reassuring. But after you've lost a baby, you're like, I don't care. I
Right.
want.
Yeah. No. And like, just along those same lines, well, Heavenly Father must have needed her more.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I needed her more in my arms right now.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
And oh, she's in a better place now. No,
Yeah.
no, she's not.
It's not with her mom.
Yeah. And
So those are all, and I want to say those are all well-meaning, but
yes, but not helpful.
not helpful. I don't think they're helpful because
No.
like it wasn't until later that I felt like, okay, I'm gonna be okay with those in my own heart and accepting it for myself. But
Right.
I don't need somebody else telling me.
Yeah, exactly. I really had to come to think about those things on my own terms. Like, yes, okay, I know I'll see her again and it will be okay, but it's not okay right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a big one. And then the least helpful thing I think to say to somebody, and we kind of touched on this before, but just let me know if you need something. D- huh? You can't put that pressure on a bereaved mom like right after giving birth. Like, of course it's well-meaning. Of course people want to do something to help. But if they're saying that, they're putting too much pressure on you
Yeah.
to come up with something.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's like, oh, if I want to ask you to come and do my dishes, for example, then I feel guilty for asking. Like,
Yeah.
no, just show up. Just think of something that you are capable of doing.
Yep.
That you think might alleviate something, and I promise you it will.
And it will be so like
So much better received.
so appreciated.
Yes.
And I cannot stress that enough. That has been a guiding light for us as we have, because we saw people say that to us, and that was hard. Yeah, I was like, I can't think straight. So why
Right.
would I be able to figure out something for you to do?
I know.
But there were other people that showed up and they didn't ask. I remember specifically one woman in our previous neighborhood. She just like, she called us up and said, I have stuff and I made extra. I'm bringing it over, stick it in the fridge or in the freezer, whatever. Like she didn't even ask us. She and I know everybody's like, oh, you got to ask for allergies and stuff like that. Just figure it out.
Right.
Bring something.
Just bring something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's-
amazing
I
that
know.
you had that.
It was so nice. She didn't even ask. She's like, she didn't even give me an option. She's just like, I'm bringing it over. It'll be on your front porch. I was like, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it so much. So yeah, it sounds like it should be a nice thing to say.
Right.
Hard. It's a hard thing to say for somebody.
Well, and the harder thing is that before I went through this whole grieving journey, I said the same thing to people.
Oh, yeah. So yes.
So it's like
Guilty.
I know.
Totally guilty.
It's like when you
don't know what.
when you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't help that.
Yeah. I mean, and so I guess maybe then what are some things that maybe people did and showed up for you? Like, were there things that you can think of that people did just like, oh, this is like, I think of the bread that
Yes.
from your friend.
Yes. Yeah, I had several ward members, like the Relief Society president at the time. She showed up, I think it was the day that we found out that she'd passed away. She brought a frozen lasagna over.
Oh,
And she just showed up on my doorstep, just didn't even say that she was coming over. She just showed up and it's like, thank you. That's great. And so like food is a big one, like so appreciated. But yeah, I think like my mom came up and cleaned a bunch for me just to take that off of my plate. I think I had another friend that took Hannah with them for the day, like just to keep her occupied.
yeah.
That was really helpful too, because then I didn't have to worry about being a mom on top of it.
Yeah. Like babysitting, if you've got other kids, just like, hey, just join come play
Yes.
over here for a few hours.
Yes.
That makes a huge difference for the parents because, yeah, you have to take care of your other kids if you have other kids. And that is, it's nice when you don't have to worry about that for just a couple hours.
Yeah, for sure. And I already mentioned dishes, like a couple people came and did
I just
dishes.
did dishes.
And I was like, it sounds silly, but it relieved so much
Yeah,
off
and
of my plate.
And that probably
So,
took 5 minutes for
yeah,
them to do.
yeah, maybe 10, but
Yeah.
yeah, like not huge for other people, but huge for me.
Yeah.
So,
Because
yeah.
those daily functioning things need to happen, but
Mm-hmm.
you're just not capable. You're
Yep.
just not capable. It's like,
It's true.
it's bad. It's real bad.
Yes.
Heather, thank you very much. This was a really great conversation. I think there was a lot of, we had some real gems in here, actually. I was like, these are so good. I was
Yeah.
like, and I think they'll help others as they traverse this path, whatever that looks like for them. So thank you for sharing, Rosemary, with us. And thanks for sharing your knowledge, your advice. Everybody's like, I don't have advice to give. And I was like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You've traveled this path. Yes, you do. You've seen things.
You know more.
Yeah, exactly. And you're different because of it. So,
Yes.
so thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Always happy to have friends over in our house.
So great.
I know.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call, we talk to one of them, they stay anonymous, I can't hang up, that's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.